Welcome to one more video where we will be talking about a country that, despite being one of the largest oil producers in the region, was also the scene of the first African Civil War. This lasted from 1993 to 1999 and pitted the forces of President Pascal Lissouba and former President Denis Sassou Nguesso, who regained power after a bloody conflict. They are also culturally and linguistically diverse, with more than 60 ethnic groups and more than 40 spoken languages. French is the official language, but Lingala and Kituba are also spoken as national languages. Welcome to the Republic of the Congo. Through this video, we will be visiting each part of this country and learning more about its customs, quality of life, and some interesting facts. Previously, it could be said that a country was imposing and prosperous due to the size of its territory or the workforce it housed. And in a way, it is true, since today the United States, Russia, and China are the world leaders. And what do they have in common? Territory and many inhabitants. However, having 95 million inhabitants and a vast area of 2,350,000 square kilometers right in the heart of Africa did not give the same results. Before the arrival of Europeans, the territory of the Congo was inhabited by various Bantu peoples, such as the Congo, the Loango, and the Tike, who formed kingdoms and traded among themselves and with other countries. Later in the 15th century, the Portuguese were the first to explore the Congo coast and establish trade relations with the local kingdoms, especially the Congo Kingdom. The slave trade became one of the region's main economic activities, lasting until the 19th century. And from that century onwards, the French began the exploration and colonization of the interior of the Congo, which became a French colony in 1891 under the name of French Congo. The Congo was part of French Equatorial Africa, along with other territories such as Gabon, Chad, and the Central African Republic. As you can see, they have lived in constant change, which prevents them from having social and economic stability, even if the country has all the resources to be a great power. And it was not just those, but in 1958, the Congo became an autonomous republic within the French community, and in 1960, it obtained its independence. The first president was Fulbert Youlou, who was overthrown in 1963 by a coup d'etat. He was succeeded by Alphonse Massamba Deba, who established a socialist regime and a 5-year development plan. In 1968, another coup d'etat brought Marian Ngouabi to power, who founded the Congolese Labour Party and proclaimed the People's Republic of the Congo. But in 1977, Ngouabi was assassinated and replaced by Joachim Yombi Opango, who was dismissed in 1979 by Denis Sassou Nguesso, who ruled the country until 1992. During his rule, the Congo maintained close relations with the Soviet Union and other socialist countries, and faced an economic and social crisis due to the fall in oil prices, the country's main resource. It's like there will never be peace in this country, right? One of the last events was in 2015, when a new political and military crisis began, when the government launched an offensive against the former rebels of Pool, a region south of Brazzaville, who had taken up arms against the regime. The conflict caused thousands of displaced people and human rights violations. In 2017, a ceasefire and disarmament agreement was signed, opening the possibility of national dialogue and political reform. However, this has not prevented them from having a good culture, and the Republic of the Congo reflects various artistic, religious, musical, and literary manifestations. The country is the birthplace of great writers such as Alain Mabankou, Henri Lopez, and Soni Labutansi, and musicians such as Papa Wemba, Franco, and Manu Dibango. The country also has a strong oral tradition, which is expressed in stories, myths, proverbs, and songs. The predominant religion is Christianity, but there is also the presence of traditional African religions and Islam. This is thanks to the historical changes that the country has gone through. We will be able to see the National Ballet of the Congo, which is a dance company that fuses the elements of traditional African dance with those of contemporary dance. The National Ballet of the Congo is inspired by the stories, myths, and legends of the different regions of the country. Likewise, as an artistic expression, we will see the so-called Klaus fetishes. These are sacred objects that represent the spirits of ancestors or the forces of nature. Klaus fetishes are made from wood, metal, cloth, and other materials, and nails, knives, or coins are inserted into them to activate their power or ask for favors. Have you ever seen them? Leave us in the comments what you think of this cultural practice, and remember to give us a like. Likewise, they have something called cimetières avec des tombeaux monumentaux, which are cemeteries with tombs decorated with sculptures, paintings, and other elements that honor the life and personality of the deceased. These cemeteries are places of worship and memory where rituals and offerings are performed. Now, let's talk a little about its gastronomy. It is made up of a mix of French, Asian, and Arab influences in traditional African food. Come on! Let's see what some of their typical dishes are. First, we have fufu, a sticky dough made of cassava or corn flour, which which is served with spicy sauces or meat or fish stews. You can also enjoy a dish called poulet à la mwambe. This is made with chicken cooked in a sauce made from the pulp of palm nuts, which gives it a sweet and creamy flavor. Another dish that you could try in this country is sakasaka or pondu, which is a stew made of cooked and crushed cassava leaves to which palm oil, salted fish, onion, and garlic are added. They also have a fruit called safu, which is purple and looks like a large olive, which is boiled and salted before eating and has a buttery texture. It is really something very typical in the Congo. As you can see, their dishes are not very elaborate, and the internal economic situation of this country is not the best. In fact, they live in primitive living conditions. For example, in the market, many people do not have shopping carts and carry their food on their heads. And some things are difficult to acquire, such as proteins, sometimes due to their cost or due to the scarcity of healthy meat. Therefore, some people turn to alternative sources of protein, such as larvae. As for means of transportation, it is also a reality that has two sides, since there are planes, buses, trains, taxis, and other not-so-conventional means of transportation. But in some regions, train tickets are inaccessible, leading people to ride on the roofs of trains on public roads, some working as porters, sweepers, or street vendors to survive. Regarding clothing, the typical clothing of the Congolese reflects their ethnic origin, their social status, and their occasion. The most common fabrics are cotton, linen, silk, and raffia. The colors and patterns have symbolic meaning and are often decorated with embroidery, beads, feathers, and shells. Some traditional garments are the bubu, a long, loose tunic, pain, a wrapping fabric used as a skirt or dress, the kikwembe, a conical straw hat, and the angila, a bead necklace that indicates membership in a clan or family. But here there is another dilemma, and it is that of a suburban custom that exists called the dandies of the Congo. In the midst of the dilapidated and unpaved streets of Brazzaville, the capital of the Republic of the Congo, and Kinshasa, located in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, where garbage accumulates in the streets and potholes are common sights, there is space for good style. In the midst of this image of social marginalization, you can see a group of men walking who give a class of elegance. They are known as sapeurs, or Congo dandis. Congo dandies are a subculture of people who dress in elegant and colorful clothing, despite living in conditions of poverty and marginalization. Its name comes from the Société des Ambianceurs et des Personnes Élégantes, Society of Air Fresheners and Elegant People, which was formed in the 1920s and 1960s as a way to resist colonialism and express their African identity. The dandies of the Congo are inspired by European fashion, but they adapt it to their own style and creativity. They wear brands such as Dior, Gucci, or Versace, and gather on the streets of Brazzaville and Kinshasa to show off their outfits and compete for recognition from their peers. Congo dandies not only care about their appearance, but also their behavior. They follow a code of ethics that values courtesy, respect, peace, and joy. The dandies of the Congo are an example of how fashion can be a form of art and pride. Something very peculiar, don't you think? Now, leaving these cultural data aside, let's see what places we can visit in this country and what documentation is needed to enter. First, you must have a valid passport with at least 6 months validity. You must also have a visa if you are a citizen of Spain, the United States, and Mexico. The visa can be applied for at the nearest Congolese embassy or consulate, or online through the official website of the Congolese government, and follow the steps indicated there. Apart from this, you must have a yellow fever vaccination certificate. This vaccine is mandatory for all travelers entering the country, and proof must be presented upon arrival at the airport. Remember that it is an African country where many disease outbreaks have been recorded. Likewise, it is advisable to have medical and travel insurance. Congo is a country with health and security risks, so it is recommended to have adequate coverage in case of emergency. And if you put all this together and travel, we tell you that you can visit the Gorges of Diosso, a spectacular rocky canyon formed by the erosion of the Kwilu River, offering panoramic views of nature. You can also attend the Basilique Saint Anne, which is an impressive modernist-style church built in 1942, which stands out for its cone shape and its colorful stained glass windows. It is worth mentioning that this country has the Réserve Naturelle de Gorille de Lesio Luna Lefini, which in short is a nature reserve where you can observe the western lowland gorillas, an endangered species, in their natural habitat. But if you are more into parks, you can visit the Nuabale Ndoki National Park, a national park that is home to one of the most intact and biodiverse rainforests in Africa, home to elephants, chimpanzees, buffaloes, and leopards. We hope that you found your tour of this country on the African continent interesting. We remind you that you can subscribe to this channel and activate notifications so that you do not lose details of any country. We also recommend you visit our video about Paraguay so that you can learn about its beauty beyond stereotypes. See you in a next video.